This morning I have a Phi SP4 that we did a recom kit on. So you can get a good look at that. So what is that? What is that? Oh, that's the shim. Okay. Not a fan of the small surround. Small relative to what should probably be on there, which would look like a mega roll from Sundown. But that's Scott Atwell. For those that don't know, Scott is the co-founder of RE Audio, Resident Engineering, over there in Vegas. And I guess, well, from what I heard was that US Amps at the time was trying to get into the subwoofer market. And for them, it made good sense to join up with somebody that already made subwoofers in the USA, which at the time RE Audio did. So they wanted to buy RE, and Scott was like, no thanks. And his partner Mark was like, dude, what are you doing? And so they bought out Scott's half so that RE could be what it is today, which is a zombie brand. And Scott, I think, literally moved next door because it was just like an office suite. One of those, it's like 20% office and then like 80% warehouse. And started producing a lot of the, well, I think Scott comes from a machining background, if I remember right. I'm having trouble remembering now. But yeah, and he started Phi. So, and it's pronounced Phi, not Fee. Phi as in fidelity. Get that? Phi. And then like he used to use the bass treble or bass clef as like a logo or something like that. So there was a little moment too there where Scott was using the Revolution theme for Phi, which was right around the time when I came out with Worldwide Revolution. But I don't want to say he copied me, so because he's bigger than me. But Phi is typically American made. How much of that is American made, I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of videos on what they do. This frame, however, is not made in USA. It is Chinese. But Scott picked that up at the TC Sounds auction back in 07, 08. And he just bought the patent. So the patent is one thing, and you can look it up. I think he probably has it assigned over to him now. So it was originally Tilo's, and it's on the 6-spoke design, which has traditionally been on the 15 and the 18-inch version. The 10 and the 12 use a 4-spoke design, and Scott has actually gone back and paid for the tooling to do a 6-spoke version of the 12-inch, which is really neat. So he hasn't fucked around with the 10-inch because I think the 10-inch is fine. It's kind of I don't want to call it a waste, but the guys over at Prodigy Audio were talking about designing a new 10-inch. I said, why don't you use the TI frame? And they're like, well, because it only uses an 8.5-inch spider. I'm like, well, the cutout's only like 9 inches, 9.5 inches. Like, how much bigger do you want to fit? Do you want to fit a 12-inch spider on an 8-inch or a 10-inch woofer? They're like, so. But this is Scott's modular design. This one is the tri-lobe version, if I remember right, because I was working on it yesterday. Get a look at it. So, and this is a steel savings design. So the idea is to still, of course, connect the negative circuit, but also have enough clearance. See, and now he's enabled some venting and things like that, and also get away with just using one slug. So instead of multiple slugs. And then he does make other versions that do have multiple slugs for more BL, things like that. So, but Scott does own the, or Phi, I should say, not Scott, but Phi does own the patent, which I think is expired now. But he doesn't own the tooling on this frame. So he owns the tooling on the 12-inch frame, which is 6-spoke, but not the 15 and the 18-inch. So that tooling, last time I checked, was owned by XY, Zhang Yang, which is the largest speaker parts manufacturer in the world, and everybody buys from them. So Scott did come up with a termination technique. I don't really like it, but you know, whatever. And the whole thing is made with CA, not epoxy. But so here's the termination kit that comes with the recomb kit. So, and basically it sits in there like that, if you want to show it like that. So still springy. There's no rubber bands like you see on a lot of them. They rely on the grommet to show their polarity. And this sits in the top, and then basically I think I gotta search for a video to see if they show a video on it. I think it just goes in there like this. So you just put the loop, there's a loop on the leads, and you just put the loop around this, and then it just goes in the hole like that, and then it squishes it down into that little section. This actually goes in there, so see, and then it just grabs it right there and it keeps it in place. So, and this is a little ABS block, and that's it. And then this goes on the underside, and it gets insulated with the grommet. So, but yeah, I had somebody yell at me for bolting the T-yoke or the top plate together. I'm like, well, I was like, Scott Atwell does it, so why can't I do it? See? Does it work? Yes. Maybe you should shut the fuck up and go build your own woofers, motherfucker. You know, but of course I don't say that. That's a rude thing to say to someone. But that's really what it comes down to. Oh, yeah, see. So here's the old UFO, which, you know, it uses a lot of steel, and it's also very, very heavy. And so to make something like the other motor with even more clearance is going to require even more steel, because you're wanting it to all be one big piece. So this also takes a long time to machine. So you got to think about that as far as costs go too. So, and he, you know, if he makes everything in USA, you got to be really careful about your expenses, because otherwise you're going to break even and end up like Tilo. So, little preview on this one. Get out of there, bug. This is a little sub I made for, what's his name? That's right. His name is Michael Myers, but he goes by Mike. So, but he's a local installer at Unique Car Audio over there in Gilbert, and he is putting together some sort of show car or whatever. And so I decided to do a show worthy subwoofer for him. This is the single 6 ohm, and it's going to be 2 of them, and they're going to be paired up with, I think, a power class 2600, something like that, one of those PPI power class amps. So bridged at 3 ohm. It should, you know, ride right on the edge of the impedance. So, but or if you could say, watch out for, what is it, box gain, some stupid thing that you guys think that you're doing. Really, all you're doing is hot rodding stuff, but whatever. Box gain, impedance, or some stupid shit. This one, I'll find out. This is my final thing, and then I got to get to work. This is a quad stack 8-inch woofer that I created. I made a few of them, and I have not built any. This is the first one I've built of this motor. So I do have Curtis's, which are too large to fit in the hole, but that's what he wanted, as you can see back there, that one. And I have not finished them. They sat here for months, mostly because I make somebody else more important than he does. And Curtis is a good friend and a good cuck, and he takes it right in the butthole. So, but in this version, we decided it's gonna go behind a mini truck single cab. And so what we're going to do is make a single beefy 8-inch woofer that fires sideways at the bottom of the enclosure, you know, typical triangle. And it's a single 2 ohm that we're going to try out. And then if he likes it, then he can build another enclosure on the other side and get a second one. And then he'd still be running at 1 ohm, which he, you know, I think he's getting the recoil 1200.1. So which is plenty for this. You know, there's a lot of, I don't want to say competition, but a lot of machismo behind a lot of these 8s. You saw MB Enclosures feature one of Mr. Music Man's 1,000 even just saying it out loud, it's ridiculous. It does not handle 1,000 watts. Should not be rated for 1,000 watts. Typically something like that this will be good for like 400 or 500 watts is plenty. Just because it has a big magnet does not necessarily mean that it handles more power. What's going to happen is the magnet and the coil are going to saturate real quick, as far on a scale as far as power goes, as far as woofers go. This doesn't need very much power at all. In fact, 200 maybe 300 watts is plenty. Now what it can handle, see, and that's where the machismo comes in, and people want to pull out their dick and say, well, my small little woofer is bigger and better than your small woofer, and it's all dumb anyway. Because if you watch my video on why 8s are dumb in the first place, then you would know that's why I find this ridiculous. Because it's, oh, glue drip, can you see it? There you go. Gotta throw it away. So, but yeah, what was it? Eagle Merino, yeah. He's imported 8. Can it? And the same with fucking Oscar with the Mr. Music Man stuff. That's the dumbest name. Especially when you want to try to be macho, and especially when you want. Oscar relies on a lot of machismo because of his background and his culture. And it's almost like he doesn't know that it's a dumb name. So, but he's really being macho. It's kind of, I think it's hilarious. So, but yeah. And by the way, let me finish the specs on this one. So this one I designed for the 2 3/8 coil, which you see a lot on Kicker. I reviewed the who is it? Scar SDR uses the same coil. So it's a heavier copper coil. In this case, he wanted single 2 ohm. The only coils I have are dual 2. So what I did was I didn't remove it. I just snipped it, and I'm using only 1 coil. So, and you want to keep all that copper on there for both power handling and for the weight, so that this thing doesn't have any problems playing low. Because that's the problem that you find with a lot of 8s is they don't play low. They don't play to 20. They don't play to 20 hertz for a reason. But if you know, this guy, he kind of annoyed me, and he was willing to pay, and we ended up settling on $200 shipped for this thing. So if you want to give me $200 shipped, go for it. I will sell this to you. So, but it'd be interesting to find out what it's going to sound like in his truck. So, and I'm going to find out the specs on the box and what he's going to give it. Typically, you want to give a woofer like this, it really only needs like half a cubic foot or 0.65 or even 0.75. So, but typically what people do is, and again, I explained this in my video about why I don't like 8s. Typically people put these in as big as 1.3 or 1.5, which is huge, huge. That's even big for a 10. So you end up, you know, sacrificing your power handling, right? Which is fine actually on this one, because you're only going to give it about 300 watts anyway before you max it out. So whether it's saturated on the coil or whether it's saturated from excursion. So, which I think is funny, but I don't know how to explain it in a technical way to you guys other than the way that I have for you to understand. So I'm sorry for not being able to articulate enough that this is a turd. But if you want a turd bad enough from me and you're willing to pay for it, sometimes, not always, sometimes I will give that for you. I had to turn a guy away yesterday. So he had, I thought he was a good guy. He reminded me a lot of Ad Rock from Beastie Boys, which of course I like. And he wanted an 18, but he didn't have a box. And I think I gave it to him for like $400, which is really cheap. And I told him, I said, hey, just so you know, typically, because I think that day he only had like $100 on him, or he had $200 on him, didn't want to spend it all. And let me show you that one while I'm talking. Where'd it go? He had $200 to spend, and he didn't want to spend it all, so he spent 100, and so he put 100 down on a subwoofer. And again, I don't like to do the layaway thing. I really like people to pay for it up front. It lets me know that they're committed. It lets me know, oh, that's it. Duh, I just walked by it twice. So, because I got to do the bottom bead. So this is the way it turned out for the aluminum one. It just takes a little bit longer. 2 steps on the epoxy, and then I got to put the epoxy bead on this side. Let me show you that better. And it's wired for dual 2, and then this will go on that frame. Anyway, so he gave me $100 down. A couple weeks go by. Of course, I'm behind, and I still tend to want to make people happy, and so sometimes I promise or insinuate that it'll be done, and life happens and it's not done, and I apologize. So he came over yesterday and he's like, I'm here to pick up that woofer. And I said, well, first of all, I told you it's not ready. I said, but I have I have a pair of them, the Phi UFO. I go, well, you want to take this one instead? He's like, no, I want the big one that you said I was going to get. I was like, okay. And then basically he taunts me. He's like, well, I guess, you don't want this money. And I go, well, dude, typically I get all the money up front. He's like, well, I've had problems in the past of giving people money and then they don't deliver. And I was like, well, I deliver. Sometimes it just takes a little bit. And I go, but that's fine. I'm already giving you a discount, and I'm giving you a $1,000 woofer for $400. But if you don't think it's a good value, here's a refund. And I gave the money out of my pocket to him. Boy, I never seen somebody so pissed. And then he does a burnout in the gravel in my yard. And then for some reason he sends me a text this morning. And he's like, you took down your sign. And I was like, I don't know what sign you're talking about. But of course, I didn't even respond to him because he's not even worth responding to. But and then he's like really pissed. He's like, you're a coward and a pussy, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, those sweet words are not going to get you back in my favor. So typically when somebody I have to give a refund to, then it's done. So I don't try to continue anything because most people are not sorry. Most people do not have a change of heart and do not, as they say in religion, repent. So, and if you look up repent, it's actually really just having about a change of heart and a sort of a newfound purpose. And most people do not repent. So most people are not sorry. And in this world, there's so many more options. So he says, I'm going to go take my money elsewhere. And I said, okay, good luck. Good luck finding a deal like this. You're not going to find it. Because I do my market research and I provide a service that nobody else provides for a price that nobody else provides. So good luck. But as far as everybody else goes, if it's taken forever, I am sorry. I don't have a lot of help and I have a lot of stuff come up, and I wish I could magically make everything go out and ship on time, but it doesn't always happen that way. So like yesterday it rained, and when it rains in Arizona, it takes a lot of your time because we don't expect it. We don't really plan for it, I guess is the better word. So, but there's a guy that's been making payments consistently, and here are the motors that I'm going to give him. $250 each, shipped. What a good deal. If you want some motors like that I can just ship right away, go for it. Please let me know. I will do that. I got plenty now that the magnet. Oh, let me show you the magnetizer. So I had to. I didn't mean to turn this into. What is this? That's only 18 minutes. That's fine. So I didn't quite get finished with the motors that need to be zapped because I had an arc. I had a short. Bzz, 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 bzz. So that's it's only looks like 4 gauge that goes into the coil, and then the output is this big thing, and I had it together, and for some reason it arced and made a big pop and loud noise, and the magnetizer could be dead. I don't think it is, but could be dead. So I'm decided to come back here. I cut this, I got to pull the wires out, and I'm basically going to shorten them. So, because they don't really need to be that long. And oh yeah, here's Josh's Neo motor, which I'm going to go back and make a bunch of steel. So I'm going to beef it up with a bunch of steel and bolt it all together so it's super tough. And then we'll zap it again and it'll be even better, but it'll have less Neo. So, because it really was oversaturated with Neo. You don't really need that much Neo. But I think that's it. Yep, there's Andy's 24. So on the team thing, he lost his sponsorship today because I was too late, which I apologize. But again, there's still woodies. I got one done. I still got to get 2 more. Again, I just don't have enough time to finish everybody's stuff. But I'm going to work hard today, and I love you guys. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your patience. If you do want to get something quick and easy out of me, then just order like a part or something like that. And then even like Christopher Burley, I had to put him on a timeout for a year, and he came back after a year, and he had a little bit of the same bad habits, but most of that was about when you order lots of parts, there's like a format that I want you to use, and I want you to be very specific, so that way there's no surprises on the distant end of, hey, I ordered this, I thought I was getting this, and I'm like, and that's of course why virtually all manufacturers or all parts providers have part numbers and things like that, so you know exactly what you're getting. I don't have that right now. I'm working on that, and so I have to work on all that, plus pack my own orders, which is all custom packing, plus build woofers, and then plus live my regular life. So I got a lot going. Plus I'm going to the moon, and then I'm fighting Savannah Hernandez. So, but these 2 are going to get finished this weekend. This one is for a local guy, and then this one is for Manny Garcia. Those are the T2s from Rockford, and I think I've got to build 1 top assembly for a guy in Texas. So, but yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on. And I apologize for being late. I don't really have any other options. But I have figured out a way that because the Magnetizer is paid for, I'm actually going to start an LLC to take a loan out on the Magnetizer. Because the Magnetizer technically is worth about $100,000. So, but if you bought one new that was equal, it would probably cost about 50 grand. So what I'm going to do is get the LLC, and then somebody else is going to buy it, and then it's going to lease it to Robot, and Robot is going to lease or sign a lease that guarantees like say 2 grand a month, because I think the note on it at 40 grand or 50 grand is going to be about, I want to say $1,500 a month. So that's going to show cash flow, positive cash flow, even though it's going from one pocket to the other pocket. It's not a big deal. But and personally, I'm not a fan of all of that, because that's the kind of stuff my dad used to do, and my dad ended up getting caught up in a $70 million land deal in the 80s in Greenlee County, and but he didn't have a good team in place, and he had little snakes that undercut him. Now, was my dad doing everything legit? Probably not. So, and he ended up going to the state prison for like 3 years. I don't know. It was right during my teenage years, but I don't think he would have been any good outside because he was kind of a dick. So, but it really kind of fucked me up as a kid, because it was right in my formative years, and I didn't have any supervision, and my mom, borderline personality disorder kind of, wasn't available and things like that. So, take care of your kids, guys, and don't have so many fucking kids unless you have the people to support that kind of thing. So, but anyways, I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. We'll do some more stuff on Sunday sermon. Bye.